Part 2. Yama said, goodness and pleasure are distinct. They lead to different ends and hold a person in their grasp. Those who choose goodness fare well, while those opting for pleasure miss the true purpose of life. Both goodness and pleasure come into a person's life. The wise evaluate both and differentiate between them. The wise prioritize goodness over pleasure, while the foolish are lured by bodily desires into choosing pleasure. Nachiketas, after careful contemplation, you have renounced temporary pleasures and all that is pleasing to the senses. You have not accepted this valuable garland, for which many mortals are willing to perish. Ignorance and wisdom are two divergent paths leading in opposite directions. Nachiketas, your unwavering pursuit of wisdom amidst numerous temptations proves your genuine longing for it. In this second part, the ruler of death imparts teachings about the great hereafter. There are two paths, one leading towards the divine and the other towards worldly pleasure. Following one inevitably takes a person away from the other because they are in conflict, much like light and darkness. One leads to an eternal spiritual realm, while the other leads to the temporary physical world. At every stage of life, both paths confront individuals. Discerning individuals choose the real and eternal path, attaining the highest purpose. On the other hand, those who prefer immediate and tangible results, guided by ignorance, miss the true meaning of their existence. Yama tested Nachiketa's sincerity and earnestness with temptations, and Nachiketas, recognizing their true worth, rejected them, stating, I have come from the mortal realm, shall I ask for what is mortal? I desire only that which is eternal. In response, death recognized Nachiketa's sincerity and worthiness, praising his rejection of vast wealth, long life, and temporary pleasures. Fools, living in ignorance, often imagine themselves wise and learned, but they wander aimlessly, like the blind leading the blind. The thoughtless, ignorant child fails to recognize the prospect of the hereafter. Deluded by the allure of material wealth, they believe that this world is the only reality, repeatedly falling under its sway. Many individuals in the world, consumed by intellectual conceit, believe they can guide others. However, while they may possess worldly wisdom, their lack of deeper understanding results in their words increasing doubt and confusion in the minds of those who listen to them. Hence, they are akin to blind guides leading the blind. The hereafter remains obscured to those who lack the power of discrimination and succumb to the charm of fleeting material possessions. Just as children are enticed by toys, individuals are drawn to pleasure, power, fame, and wealth, believing these are the only realities. Attached to perishable things, they frequently come under the dominion of death. One part of our existence is mortal, while another is eternal. When a person can identify with their imperishable nature, which is one with God, they transcend death. A teacher who is hard to find, about whom many have not even heard, and whom even after hearing about, many cannot comprehend, is truly remarkable. Equally remarkable is the ability of a student to receive knowledge from an able teacher. Throughout the Vedic scriptures, it is emphasized that imparting spiritual knowledge requires personal realization. Realization refers to knowledge based on direct perception. In India, some of the best teachers lack conventional learning, but their character is so radiant that everyone learns simply by being around them. One scripture tells of a youthful teacher sitting under a banyan tree, with an aged disciple beside him. The disciple's mind was riddled with doubts and questions, yet as the teacher remained silent, the doubts gradually vanished from the disciple's mind. This illustrates that conveying spiritual teachings transcends mere words, it is the teacher's life and illumination that count. Such God-enlightened individuals are rare, and even with such a teacher, knowledge of the self cannot be gained unless the disciple's heart is open and receptive to the truth. Yama emphasizes that both the teacher and the student must be extraordinary. One cannot truly know the Atman when taught by a person of inferior understanding, even when contemplated repeatedly. The Atman is subtler than the subtle and beyond argument. True knowledge of the Atman is attained only when taught by an enlightened teacher. O dearest, the Atman cannot be realized through argument. It is truly known only when taught by a wise teacher. Nachiketas, you have attained the Atman, and you are firmly established in truth. May we always find inquirers like you. I acknowledge that earthly treasures are fleeting, for the eternal cannot be attained through impermanent things. Therefore, I have performed the Nachiketa fire sacrifice. O Nachiketas, thou hast seen the fulfillment of all desires, the basis of the universe, the endless fruit of sacrificial rites, the other shore where there is no fear, that which is praiseworthy, the great and wide support, yet, being wise, thou hast rejected all with firm resolve. The teacher, saying that the imperishable cannot be attained by the perishable, shows that no amount of observance of rituals and ceremonies can earn the imperishable and eternal. Although the Nachiketa fire sacrifice may bring results which seem eternal to mortals because of their long duration, yet they too must come to an end, therefore this sacrifice cannot lead to the final goal. Yama praises Nachiketas because, when all heavenly and earthly pleasures, as well as knowledge of all realms and their enjoyments were offered him, yet he cast them aside and remained firm in his desire for truth alone. The wise, who by means of the highest meditation on the self knows the Ancient One, difficult to perceive, seated in the innermost recess, hidden in the cave of the heart, dwelling in the depth of inner being, he who knows that one, as God, is liberated from the fetters of joy and sorrow. A mortal, having heard and fully grasped this, and having realized through discrimination the subtle self, rejoices, because he has obtained that which is the source of all joy. I think the abode of truth is open to Nachiketas. The scriptures give 3 stages in all spiritual attainment. The aspirant must first hear about the truth from an enlightened teacher, next he must reflect upon what he has heard, then by constant practice of discrimination and meditation he realizes it, and with realization comes the fulfillment of every desire, because it unites him with the source of all. Having beheld this, a man learns that all sense pleasures are but fragmentary reflections of that one supreme joy, which can be found in the true self alone. Yama assures Nachiketas that there is no doubt of his realizing the truth, because he has shown the highest discrimination as well as fixity of purpose. Nachiketas said, "That which thou sayest, which is neither virtue nor vice, neither cause nor effect, neither past nor future, but beyond these, tell me that." Yama replied, "That goal which all the Vedas glorify, which all austerities proclaim, desiring which, people, practice brahmacharya, a life of continence and service, that goal I tell thee briefly, it is Aum. What name can men give to God? How can the infinite be bound by any finite word? All that language can express must be finite, since it is itself finite. Yet it is very difficult for mortals to think or speak of anything without calling it by a definite name. Knowing this, the sages gave to the Supreme the name Aum, which stands as the root of all language. This word is indeed Brahman. This word is indeed the Supreme. He who knows this word obtains whatever he desires. This is the best support, this is the highest support, he who knows this support is glorified in the world of Brahman. This sacred word is the highest symbol of the Absolute. He who through meditating on it grasps its full significance, realizes the glory of God and at once has all his desires satisfied, because God is the fulfillment of all desires. This self is never born, nor does it die. It did not spring from anything, nor did anything spring from it. This Ancient One is unborn, eternal, everlasting. It is not slain even though the body is slain. If the slayer thinks that he slays, or if the slain thinks that he is slain, both of these know not. For it neither slays nor is it slain. The self is subtler than the subtle, greater than the great, it dwells in the heart of each living being. He who is free from desire and free from grief, with mind and senses tranquil, beholds the glory of the Atman. Although this Atman dwells in the heart of every living being, yet it is not perceived by ordinary mortals because of its subtlety. It cannot be perceived by the senses, a finer spiritual sight is required. The heart must be pure and freed from every unworthy selfish desire, the thought must be indrawn from all external objects, mind and body must be under control. When the whole being thus becomes calm and serene, then it is possible to perceive that effulgent Atman. It is subtler than the subtle, because it is the invisible essence of everything, and it is greater than the great because it is the boundless, sustaining power of the whole universe, that upon which all existence rests. Though sitting, it travels far, though lying, it goes everywhere. Who else save me is fit to know that God, who is, both, joyful and joyless. The self is all-pervading, hence it is that which sits still and that which travels, that which is active and that which is inactive. It is both stationary and moving, and it is the basis of all forms of existence, therefore whatever exists in the